3x3 flush doors. So this one, I think honestly has the coolest opening of any door. It just looks so mechanical, but it's not really practical, it's kind of giant. So I have showed on my channel in the past I built a smaller version, so that's somewhere. That might be the super small one actually, but point is, I managed to chop a block off the top. I did do a short on it, but it didn't seem reliable, but now it does seem reliable, so I'm in version 1.18.2 and it works. So if we flick the lever, bam. This is glass so you can see what's going on, and it's 3x9x7 blocks, which is 189. And the only caveat is, well, there are pistons exposed on all of them anyway, so your blocks go in like this. Not the best looking when you just dump wool everywhere, but oh well. There's an observer and another observer that are visible when you walk in. So you walk through there, and then it closes like that. So you can see there's these observers on the inside. And also, instead of normal designs where there's 2 pistons, there's 3 pistons here. So, you know, it's not the best looking door in the world and not the smoothest opening animation in the world. This bit's a bit slow, but it is absolutely minuscule. The bottom bit was the thing that took the most effort, this sort of mess of observers going over the place and putting repeaters on top of observers and things. It's kind of a bit nutty. Like, this redstone goes off and then that powers a trapdoor which sets off this observer. It's all kind of nutty, and it's all to serve the purpose of making this silly little door do its thing in as small a space as possible. And one thing is with the top isn't reliable because, as in across versions, because it relies on the pistons going off in a specific order. It might even not work in like certain directions. I did check in this update, and it does work if you build it side to side or side to side this way instead, so it shouldn't matter. And you just power it with redstone dust into this target block, because you can't use a repeater because there's a redstone underneath, so you need to use redstone dust to power this block and this repeater, and that's how you input. So just like that, lever, and you can do it from both sides pretty easily. So now we'll get the resources. Okay, so resource wise, you're going to need 24 sticky pistons, 23 observers, a redstone, 7 repeaters, an oak block, a slab, redstone block, and 2 trapdoors, and then a bunch of blocks as well. This slab could also be glass, and I'm not going to bother counting the blocks, just get some blocks. So the space you're going to need is 3x9, so 3 deep and 9 wide, and then your door is going to be 3 blocks off the floor for the floor of the door, and then the 3 blocks around that. In the middle, going to be where the door comes out to, and it's at the front of this set, so you've got 2 blocks behind it. So for the piston layout, we're first going to do a double extender in the middle, and then a single piston next to that. Then on the right hand side, we're going to have a sticky piston aiming into the floor. And then on the left hand side, we're going to go a block further to the side than the door, with a piston aiming at the floor again. Both sticky pistons, and this has a block in the way of it, so you've got these 4 blocks with the pistons on either side. For the side, on the right hand side, we're going to go 2 blocks backwards in the wall, and then we do the very edge. We do pistons aiming into the wall, like this, 6 of them. And then pistons aiming towards the wall at the back with a block in front, so like this. And your front is here. The other side we do the same, but we only do 2 pistons at the top, so we miss out the bottom and the blocks in front. So that looks like that. Then at the top we go 1 block backwards again, and in the center we have 2 pistons above the ceiling and they aim downwards, and then we have 1 aiming at the door with a block in front, because that'll push down to there and then push the block out to here. Same for all the others, they'll push the blocks out to there after they get pushed out to there. So our input block is going to go to the left, and we go above the back piston, and we go 3 blocks up. We have a block coming out from that, then we have a repeater on that, just on its default. That goes into a block, and then underneath we have a block with a redstone. And to the side as well we have another block with a redstone dust on top of it. Coming from that block we have a 2-tick repeater aiming to the side above these pistons, and then we just do 2 blocks with redstone dust on them, like that. And then to input you just make a redstone dust aim into this block with the repeater. Now to power top pistons we just do a block next to the redstone dust. Okay, now we're going to loop the power back around to these top pistons in a weird way because they don't stay on for long enough. So we do a redstone coming out of that block on the right side, going into a block. But then on the other side that block, at the back of the door, we have a block with redstone on it. And then we have an observer aiming from that redstone to the side into the top pistons into a block. And when these blocks are powered here, either of them, it'll power both pistons because of a weird thing called BUD, which is block update detection, which I won't get into now, but just weird. Talking of weird, to power these pistons at the side, we're actually going to put a block, one block above them, place 2 observers facing down, destroy those blocks. Now this will make the pistons fire out, so what you want to do is quickly place and destroy a block above one of these observers, and that should pull the stuff back in. Except that was kind of pointless to do because now I'm going to put redstone on top of it. Like that. And bam. Oh well, I'll have to place these blocks back manually. The point is, redstone on top of these observers aiming down into pistons. And also something that I nearly forgot, the block underneath this observer, we just placed aiming sideways. We go like that. And redstone dust. So that's going to be on top of the ceiling. So you might want to do it as a ceiling block like this. For these 2 on either side with redstone dust on them. And that's the top bit done, and that'll power the 2 pistons at the side and also the top pistons. Now we have to go to the bottom and do a bunch of funky stuff. So firstly, we're going to detect the blocks on the left side getting pushed out, so that means if we go underneath these side pistons here where there's a set of 2, place an observer under the block. That aims into a trapdoor that I forgot about, so you'll actually need 3 trapdoors, not 2. So trapdoor, then an observer aiming sideways into the middle of the door, in the middle of the floor. Into a block, and that's going to power a block underneath that block with a redstone dust on top aiming at the double extender, like that. And just for the future, there's a slab behind that with a redstone dust, and then to the other side there's a block with a repeater aiming into the single piston at the side, so we'll just place those while we're here. So to power this redstone again, because we need to set it off multiple times and delay it, we're going to go next to the first observer we did aiming down, and underneath piston we'll do another observer aiming down. But then we're going to aim one sideways out of that, underneath pistons, then one aiming downwards, and then one aiming across into this piston, which pushes the floor across, and that's just to move blocks across that get pushed up or down at the right time. Then underneath the observer aiming down, the lowest one, which is at the back, we do a sticky piston with a redstone block, and that's what we use to power this redstone here. And also, sorry, I got this single piston on the wrong side. It shouldn't be on the right side, it should be on the left side. And that also means if we go around the back, our repeater should be on this side of the redstone instead. So the redstone block should power that repeater, and then the redstone. So I'm not going to explain the bottom. I think I explained it in the previous 3x3 Flush Door version 2 video. And it's just a complicated mess. So because I haven't worked on this door a while, we'll just build it. So what you do is, on the right hand side, next to the piston under the wall, we place a no block, and that has a redstone dust on top. Underneath that is a trapdoor, and then we do an observer coming out of that trapdoor, and that aims into another trapdoor next to this bottom piston at the front. So then if we go behind it, we also do an observer aiming towards the back like this, and then another one aiming backwards out that, then 2 aiming out the side of that one into this slab. And that's a slab, so they don't power the redstone above, because we don't want them to. We actually want to do an observer aiming at this trapdoor here from this observer, so like that. And that's just to set different things off at the right time. And above this trapdoor, there's an observer aiming upwards into the floor. Now from our redstone on the slab at the back of the door, there's a 4-tick repeater aiming into a block with redstone on top. And then coming out the right hand side of that, there's an observer. And then we do an observer aiming at this piston at the front. So we go inside, carefully place our observer, so it's aiming from that redstone to the single piston at the front on the right. On the other side of this block with the redstone, there's a repeater on 2 ticks, so right click it once, and then observer aiming upwards, and then also an observer aiming sideways out of that repeater into this note block with the redstone, with a block on top. So this redstone will power that block and this piston. So lastly, if we come back around to the front, this single piston at the bottom, we do an observer coming out of it, then an observer aiming downwards, underneath that like this, diagonally, then a repeater on top on 3 ticks, and then 2 observers coming out, this one aiming down into the bottom piston. So before you test this, you do actually have to make sure that next to this redstone at the back that the repeater goes into, there's a block in the floor, so just fill in your floor blocks and your wall blocks like this. Okay, we'll test that everything works. And yep, the door came up and then went away. So obviously your floor would be here like this. So the most likely thing that you're going to do while building this is get a bunch of observers aiming in the wrong direction. So I've actually labelled them all so you can check them. This is the front. This is the right side. This is the back. And this is the left hand side. And then the top goes like this. And now we're at the back, right side and the front. So again, the input, if you go to top left, the block with the repeater, you just need a redstone aiming into it. Not a repeater, because that'll power the redstone underneath, which is bad. Actually, looking at the door, I don't think it'll break anything. I think it'll still work fine. Let me test that theory. Yep. So, no, you can use a repeater into that block as well. The more you know. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. This is the, as far as I know, the smallest 3x3 flush door in Minecraft, which, you know, weird achievement, but okay. I'll see you in the next one. I've been Idendied, and this is Minecraft.